also gonna turn on my recorder so that I do not misquote you. And let's go. Okay. So can you tell me, like, when did you, first hear about Andrew Tate? How long have you known about him, and kind of how has he impacted your life?
All right. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. And that's started that off with a prayer just for the recording. So Andrew and I have known each other online for several years now. We move in the same sort of online circles and network. We grew to be acquaintances after that. I've met him once when he came to Dubai, and sometimes we chat over WhatsApp. And in terms of how he has personally impacted me, for example, well, just this very simple example, he inspired me to take up boxing.
Okay.
And when I decided that I was interested in boxing, I asked him if he knew any coaches that he would recommend in Dubai, and he recommended. He gave me two options. One of them was a friend of his, Tam Khan, who you might know from Twitter because he's become very vocal in support of Tate, and his former training partner from Storm Gym, where he started out. And that's who I ended up choosing, is my coach, Roman Wahba. And together we've now had, I've done 3 fights so far, and I'm about to do my 4th fight. It's white collar boxing, which is not such a big deal, but it's a big deal to me. And so that's, I would say, the most direct impact Tate has had on my life. Besides that, he's encouraged me to just in general be more ambitious, expect more from myself, work harder, become more competent in general, and just all around, I think it's a positive impact he's had on my life.
Okay, and just to like have more clarity, you said, like I understand that he kind of guided you or encouraged you towards boxing, and then you picked it up, and that's had a positive impact. But could we dig in a little deeper, like just how has boxing made a positive impact on your life? Like, has it changed? Yeah, like just, I mean, I can imagine, but like for clarity, yeah.
Well, I'll give you a very easy example. I'm in my 40s now, and as you get older, cardio tends to become a little bit more important. I'm sort of like a gym bro, and most of what I would do is just go to the gym and lift weights. And so just from the cardio aspect of boxing alone, I would, it's not, I mean, it seems like an exaggeration, but it's not. I would say that Tate probably added several years to my life, possibly even saving my life from a lot of potential diseases down the road, like cardiovascular issues and things like that, just from the cardio aspect. And then there's the sort of innate male desire that all men have to be competent at combat, and to be able to possibly defeat other men in combat, and just to be combat ready in general. That's something that all men have this inclination to. And so it helped to sort of realize that need by taking up boxing, because it's something that sort of all men tend to aspire to, but nobody actually goes through with it. And sort of Tate's sort of online kind of drill sergeant type of persona encourages a lot of men to sort of go outside of their comfort zone and generally expect a lot more from themselves and try to attempt to achieve that.
Okay, sorry, I'm just getting that down. Awesome. Okay, that's actually very like eye-opening. Okay. Second question. I mean, you've answered a little bit of this in your first question, but just to dig deeper, what do you think it is about Andrew Tate that appeals? And like, I'm also interested, like, in learning more about what you think about his rhetoric, his style of speaking. Do you think yeah, okay, actually, let me reframe that question. Can you tell me what appeals to you about his content? And then can you also tell me what appeals to you about his style of delivery?
So that's an excellent question. I think that men in general are attracted toward aspirational role models. And Andrew Tate, whether you like him or dislike him, no one can deny that he has achieved a lot of the things that people want to achieve in this life. Whether that is, success in business, whether that is his physical dominance in being a world championship fighter, whether that is his the relationships that he has with people, whether that is his confidence and his charisma. People are attracted to those sort of aspirational figures, whether they're male or female. And so that in general is what has attracted men to him in general, and men and women as well, because I see a lot of content online from women who are also supporters of Andrew Tate. And so his style is certainly not for everybody. One thing you can say about his style is that it is polarizing. There's no middle ground when it comes to Andrew Tate. And you're either going to love him or hate him. Either you're going to say, F this guy, who the hell does he think he is, that sort of thing, or you're going to say, where the hell has this guy been for all my life? And that is generally the reaction that I've seen online. There's nobody who's lukewarm towards Andrew Tate. Either you love him or you hate him. And that is by design, I believe. So if you want to ask about his delivery and his style of speaking, that is deliberate. And I think if he was a little bit more tempered with his style and messaging, we wouldn't be talking about him today.
That's so interesting. Talking about him today. That's so interesting because someone else I spoke to, actually, we kind of like the takeaway from that conversation. He's also like a follower of Andrew Tate's, and the kind of takeaway was, it's his rhetoric that appeals to people, and it's also his rhetoric that kind of attracts trouble. So I mean, you're saying the same thing and just in a slightly different words, and I feel like this is something that, I don't know, maybe I haven't read it before, so I'm excited to kind of showcase this bit.
And it's by design as well. It's not like he's doing it by accident. It's deliberate. He's somebody who's Andrew is somebody who never does anything thoughtlessly. As somebody who's a trained chess player and as a trained fighter, everything that he does is calculated. And his manner, his online persona, his demeanor is also calculated as well, and it's to get this sort of effect on people.
Got it. Okay. And then is something we spoke about that. Is it something? Okay, yeah. The current moment, right? Is there something that you can say about, like, is there a connection between the appeal that Andrew Tate, between the fact that young men are gravitate towards him and the current state of the world as it is right now? Like, is there a relation? Like, for example, would he be this famous, say, 20 years ago, right? Like, what is it about the moment that makes Andrew famous?
That's also another excellent question. So I think it's a combination of a number of things. It's the idea that men in general don't have aspirational figures to look up to. It's also an example why, for example, people like Khabib Nurmagomedov is so popular as well. So it's the combination of Andrew being an aspirational male figure, of being so successful in multiple domains. It's the combination of social media and TikTok being what it is, and algorithms sort of feeding into this sort of high energy, polarizing, love it or hate it type of content. And I think it's also a reflection of where we are as a society. Sort of everything is polarized, even even things as simple as, well, they're not really simple, but male and female gender dynamics and things like that. So it's sort of like a confluence and combination of a number of different things, combined with Andrew Tate's team's deliberate sort of plan to influence his social media presence, that's what's tended to have the effect that it has. And I mean, just in general, men would be attracted to his message, but then when you layer on the polarizing nature of his message, just who he is as an online persona, the polarization of a lot of the issues that he's speaking about today, whether that's gender dynamics or politics or capitalism, things of that nature. And then finally, the way that algorithms feed into our biases, all of those together, that's what has caused his sort of rise.
So what you're saying is, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is like, in my words, not in your words, the takeaway is that his message is attractive. Like that's like a given, like the content is something that, is attractive to men. But the fact that he presents it in a polarizing way makes it even more attractive, correct? Like, is that the general gist?
Well, I mean, in order for people to decide whether or not they're attracted to your message, first they have to notice you. And that's the reason why, the vast majority of advertising is wasted, is because most people don't notice it. So first you have to get noticed. Then once you've gotten noticed, then people can decide whether or not they like you or hate you. His message in general is a positive message. So if you look at the material that is put out of late, things like the 41 Tenets of Tate, which you can find on his website, it's 100% a positive message overall. And if he didn't put it across the way that he does, people would notice him, and people would be able to decide whether or not they like him or hate him.
Got it. Okay. All right. I understand. Okay. And then, I mean, I feel like a lot of the conversation we've had and up till now, and that's fine, like has been a little general. If I could veer the conversation a little bit towards the Muslim community, right? So I'm also interested, first of all, is this like a misconception, or is it truth that Muslim men kind of are more attracted to him than say men from any other organized religion? Like, is there, or do you think this is just like people are just giving more attention to Muslims?
I think that the sort of the Muslim man angle became more prominent ever since he converted to Islam. I think that Tate's message is universal, and it can be absorbed and applied by men and women of any faith. So I refer to the 41 tenets of Tate. There's nothing in there, in those 41 tenets, that goes against any religion. In fact, those would be considered praiseworthy by any organized religion. I think the Muslim angle has only become a major talking point ever since one, before he converted, Tate was praising Islam quite vocally. And then after he became a Muslim, obviously there's that that aspect of him being a Muslim convert that is even more appealing. And so it's not just that Muslim men are attracted to him, but I think just men in general, whether they have faith or they have no faith, they're attracted to Andrew Tate because of his message of positive masculinity and striving for masculine excellence.
Sorry, I am recording this as well, but I also just want to get that down because I thought it was a very succinct sentence. Andrew Tate, because of his message of positive masculinity. And do you remember what you said?
And striving for masculine excellence.
There we go. Striving for masculine. Thank you. Okay. So then, okay, what else do we have? So then, in your opinion, we shouldn't say, or we couldn't say that Muslim men are more drawn to him than men from other religions, right? Like that's just like perhaps we're just giving them more attention at this point. We're just.
Well, I would agree with that in general. However, there's also the aspect of Tate being Tate coming from the life that he used to live and then becoming a Muslim. Obviously, that has an appeal to Muslims in general, not just Muslim men, Muslims in general. And there's stories all over the place of Muslim women being so happy that Andrew converted to Islam, and Muslim men becoming more involved in their faith and just things of that nature. So it's just the convert story in general is something that a lot of us have a soft spot for. I know a friend of mine, his name is Nicholas. He converted to Islam as well, and he is getting just as much love from the Muslim community as Tate is, and that's because we all have this love in our hearts for somebody who converts to Islam.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask this question in like a way that you just framed it, and then move on to the final question, which is, why do you think Andrew Tate gets a lot of love from the Muslim community? Like, what would be a simple answer to that?
I don't think there is a simple answer because of how complex an individual Andrew is.
Okay.
And if you think about his background, who his parents were, how he grew up, how he was homeless as a child and, built himself up from nothing, from, living a life of profligacy, and, quote unquote, a haram lifestyle. And then, Allah guiding him to Islam. And just the metaphysics of it is something, that's almost miraculous to behold. Because if you think about it, you're a Muslim as well, so you sort of understand this. This is sort of like the divine predestination angle of it, where everything is written, right? So everything that Andrew has done and was and is led up to this point, and Allah wrote in his, in the book, right, that Andrew Tate was going to become a Muslim after the life that he's lived. And so when you ponder that, right, when you ponder that and you ponder the metaphysics of it, you really can't say anything other than, praise be to God or glory be to God, because just that aspect of it alone. I know you said you wanted a simple answer, but
no, that's okay. Yeah.
It's it's sort of like mind-boggling to comprehend almost.
That's totally fine. Okay. And then the final question is, is there anything in Tate's messaging that is negative or that could be perceived negatively that, that we should be cognizant of or we should make a mark of?
I think that's an excellent question. And I truly believe, okay, and this is me as a religiously observant Muslim man speaking, I truly believe that there is nothing negative in Andrew Tate's message. I referred to it twice now in the 41 tenets of Tate. And, if you consider the, his sort of his codified message, that's written down by his hand, there's nothing negative in it. Also, as Muslims, we practice something called husn al-dhann. In formal debate, it's called the principle of charity. And so our goal is to interpret the words of a person in the best possible light. Okay, and that's sort of a problem of the internet, where people will take something that you say and get the worst possible interpretation out of it, and then base their judgment on that. And that's something that I don't do, and a lot of Muslims don't do, and I mean we shouldn't be doing as Muslims in general. So husn al-dhann, principle of charity, if you listen to what he's saying and you consider what he's saying in context, okay, there's nothing negative about Andrew Tate's message. In fact, it's all positive. It's positive for men, it's positive for women, it's positive for mothers and fathers and parents, it's positive for sons and daughters. It's just a general positive message to work hard, strive for excellence. And Muslims, we have this concept called ihsan, right? So that's striving for excellence. And then that's sort of Andrew Tate is sort of the epitome of that. And so is his brother Tristan, is striving for excellence every single day. In fact, I follow Andrew on Twitter, and just the other day, he was on a Twitter space and he was sort of giving an informal, impromptu exegesis of a verse of the Quran about showing gratitude for God's blessings. And he wasn't even aware that he was doing it. And this is just something that is in his nature, to be a hardworking, upstanding individual who's striving for excellence every single day, to be the best version of yourself possible. And that message is universal, not just for men, but for women as well.
Okay, so then the kind of like tidbits of his that go viral or that have gone viral about, say, like women, or like the fact that, people often call him a misogynist. All of that, like, would you say those are misperceptions or out of context? Like, what would be your comment on those?
I would say that the reason that they go viral is because they're taken out of context. When you look at the long form
Hmm.
content that those clips are taken from, there's no potential for them to be misinterpreted or misconstrued, unless you are coming at it from the perspective where you're trying to take the worst possible interpretation of a statement. If you come at it from the perspective of husnul dhan, principle of charity, it's a positive statement overall. And of course, his manner of speaking, it doesn't appeal to some people, and that's fine. People are they're allowed to have their own tastes of who they prefer as public figures and speakers. But if you're honest with yourself and you're objective and you're perspicacious and you're self-aware, the message is positive.
Okay, all right. I think that is really good. I mean, that's all I needed. Could you tell me a little bit, like, what is the best way to kind of introduce you to the readers? Like, I definitely want to bring up that, now you're like that now you box, but what else what else is important, do you think, that we should tell readers about you?
I think because this article is sort of from the Muslim kind of angle, it might be good to introduce me as the proprietor of MuslimMan.com, which is a lifestyle brand and newsletter for Muslim men. I think that would be the simplest thing.
When you say proprietor, like, that's just, I mean, it's just I don't want to, like, give you words myself. So should I just say you founded this website or you run this website?
I guess you could say founder is the easiest way to say it. Yes, founder is fine.
MuslimMan.com, which is a lifestyle website, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you are based in Dubai?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I know you said you met him several years ago. Do you think you could just maybe pin it down? Like, was it 4, 5, 6?
Oof, I can't
Oh,
remember.
not met him. Sorry. Got to know about him, or kind of like.
Oh, okay. First
Yeah.
introduced to him, it was around the time that Trump was running for presidency. So around 2015, 2016, around that
That's
time.
fine. I mean, yeah, I don't need like a exact thing. I just, just to give the readers, like, how long he's kind of been on your radar. Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Nabeel. It was a pleasure. And yeah, I hope, that I can do justice to this and it's balanced. It will be. I don't have to hope. But yeah, I'll let you know when it's out, okay?
It's my pleasure, Maham. Thank you for inviting me to do the interview, and I look forward to reading your piece, and God bless you.